So as you can see, good morning once again to all of you. As you can see, we're going to talk about personality, values, and we're going to talk a little bit about motivation in today's class. That's the agenda. We are still with the individual. We talked about introduction to organization theory. We talked about diversity. We talked about emotions and moods, and we've talked about attitude. And following on, we're going to talk about personality and values and how do you motivate a person and why is motivation so important. So let's start off with um, personality. Many of you have about completed the poll. So 17% of you say personality is the way you look, 87% say the way you act, and 22% say what you are born with. So I will leave you to figure out the answer as we go through this particular chapter, right? That's an interesting finding. So I'm sharing the results for you to see. I think you can see the results, how you voted or taken this poll on personality. Right. So okay. So can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Personality and values. So we can start off. So what is personality? What according to you is personality?
Behavioral trait of a person.
The inherent trait of a person. Okay, very good. Anything else? Jasveer, you have something to say?
The way the person acts and behaves.
The way the person acts and behaves. Okay, good.
So the characteristics of an individual, distinctive character.
The distinctive characteristics of an individual. Okay. What else?
Person how he presents that a person acquires.
Okay, the way he presents himself or herself. Okay.
The way you portray yourself.
The way you portray yourself. Okay. So
The quality what he inherits.
So the way you portray yourself, of course, is very important because persona in Greek means it's a mask. You know, the way you sort of present yourself to the outside world. But later research has shown that it's a little bit more than that. Yes, some more answers were coming in. Please go ahead.
The way you respond to a situation, maybe.
The way you respond to a situation. Okay, Vikas, good. Okay. So great. So, okay, many of you have got a point of view and let's see what.
It's a desired objective of the person.
The desired objective of a person. Okay, what a person desires. Okay. So by the time you finish this chapter, what you should be knowing is define personality and describe how it is measured and explain the factors that determine an individual's personality. So how do you really define it in a classical textbook manner, you know, without conjecture, without ambiguity? What is the model or what is the construct of personality that you get? You will also look at a model called the MBTI or the Myers-Briggs type indicator personality framework. What does it mean? Identify the key traits in classically what is called the Big Five personality model. All psychometric tests that you guys have taken anywhere involves the Big Five personality model. It's very interesting. So psychometric tests are today on the order of the day. A lot of organizations do it. Many of you have undergone, some of you have not, but we'll try to see what is a psychometric test and identify other personality traits relevant to organization behavior. Define values. What are values, for example, and what do values do for us, and why are they so important as far as the individual and his work is concerned? Compare generational differences in values. What was it that occupied your parents. What is it that occupied my generation as a value, or what did we value, and what is it that occupies you? So, for example, let me take a quick look. Afreen, are you around? Afreen, so what is it that you value in life?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, sir.
Hi.
I value my the culture.
You value your culture. What else do you value?
Yeah. Like we Indians, how we are.
Suppose when you go to work, Afreen, when you go to work, what is it that you value the most?
One moment. Like how
attitude.
I act, how. Sorry.
Go ahead, Arvind. Go ahead.
Yeah, if I go to work, I see people around. There are few peoples who just come to work and do their shifts and all. But I value how I'm giving my time to the organization in those
Okay.
9 hours. Yeah.
Okay.
So the maybe
Anybody else? What is it that you value?
so the key behavioral activity of a person.
Okay. Okay. No, I wanted to be very selfish. What do you want out of life?
Some money.
Sir, salary.
Money, paisa. Okay.
Salary, sir.
Okay.
I value my personal space.
You want your personal space. Very good. Okay.
Fame. Fame.
Peace.
Fame.
Peace.
Okay. Peace. Okay.
Self-esteem, sir.
Self-esteem. Okay.
Identity.
What's that?
Identity.
Identity. Okay. Okay.
Respect.
Respect. But apparently many people of your
Power.
age.
Power.
Power. Okay.
Power.
Okay. Power. Okay.
Growth.
So apparently many people of your age chose work-life balance as a very important value. Does work-life balance appeal to you? Is work-life balance important to you guys?
Yes, it's
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yeah. So for example, if you looked at my generation, work-life balance was not something of great importance. A career, a longevity, stability, hard work, those are the value systems. And that's what we mean by transgenerational values. So we can see that value systems have changed from my generation to yours. So it's very interesting how values change. We'll look at it. Compare generational differences and identify Hofstede's 6 values dimensions of national culture. So like we said, culture varies from organization to organization. Culture also varies from nation to nation. So the United States can have a culture, India can have a culture, China can have a different culture, Pakistan can have a different culture, although we're culturally very close. There are differences between Pakistan and India. We can have a different culture from, say, Switzerland or Germany or France, and so on and so forth. So those are some things that we're going to look at today. Yeah.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes,
You
please.
said that cultural difference will definitely matter. US have a different culture, but a US company which is working here in India, how will that culture affect the Indian culture when it works in?
Very interesting question,
Yeah, Pradeep.
Pradeep Singh Dev. Yeah.
Yes.
So, American companies generally follow what is called as a polycentric approach to staffing. That is, they are not like the European companies. So if you look at an American company in India, say Microsoft or Google or somebody, most people, 99% people there will be Indians. Yeah. So here you have an American company coming and setting shop in India, employing Indian employees. Yeah. But there will be an impact of the American culture on terms of, in terms of how, you want to sort of, right. So there is an impact. You will be the culture will be very American, but since they employ all Indians, it's a kind of an interesting hybrid culture develops. Yeah.
Yes.
Unlike, say, a Japanese who follow what is called as an ethnocentric staffing policy, that is, they come and if you look at Toyota Kirloskar, you will have Toyota owns 99%, Kirloskar 1%. You will have the CEO, the CFO, head of HR, all mostly Japanese people. So that's an ethnocentric staffing policy. Their footprint on culture is much stronger than an American country. Yeah. So let's try to define. I'll pull that up later. When we come to national culture, it's a very interesting area. Yeah. So I'll show you how India and the United States differ in national culture. So what is personality? The dynamic organization within the individual of those psychophysical systems that determine his unique adjustments to his environment. Gordon Allport. This is a mouthful, but I want you to look at this carefully. The dynamic organization. So something is dynamic, it's changing within the individual of those psychophysical systems that determine his unique adjustment to his environment, right? It's very interesting. So how do we what is our psychophysical systems? Those are psychological systems, and how does it react with the external environment is what Gordon Allport was trying to say. It's also dynamic, so it can keep changing, or the sum total of ways in which an individual reacts and interacts with others, the measurable traits a person exhibits in a construct of personality. So why should we be measuring personality, or why should we be talking about it? Because it's helpful in hiring decisions. Like I said, most organizations today carry out what is called a psychometric test. Most common methods are self-reporting surveys that you can take. You're going to take a self-reporting survey later on. Observer rating surveys provides an independent assessment, that is, you can get an observer and the person can sort of assess you. We look at that as well, right, as to what it really means. Any questions at this point in time?
The self-reporting surveys.
I'll show you what it is.
Okay,
yeah?
sir.
Is it something like, sir, that we get from the organization on a timely basis?
Yes. The very one, yes. Correct. So organizations are very fond of self-reporting surveys. They give you one sheet of paper, say fill it up, and then you fill it up, and then nothing happens after that. No?
Yeah, so we usually get on a timely manner, like quarterly or sometimes even bi-monthly, to know like how are we feeling and all those kind of things.
How satisfied are you at your job?
Yeah.
Are you happy or not? And so on, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So those are, yeah.
Sorry, sir, I just had a question. Now, are these analyses that basically ask you a couple of situation-based questions and then inform you what's your personality like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. We can do a couple of them as we go in through the class.
All right.
For free, pro bono. Okay. So, unfortunately or fortunately or otherwise, personality is deeply affected by heredity. So if you have personality quirks, you can blame your parents, grandparents, and so on and so forth. So factors determined at conception: physical stature, facial attractiveness, gender, temperament, muscle composition and reflexes. So you would expect Virat Kohli's children to be better cricket players than an average guy because it comes with heredity. Yeah. Energy levels, biorhythms, all these things are very hereditary. The heredity approach argues that genes are the source of personality. And so this is borne out by the fact that if you take, say there are twins born into a very conservative family in Bengaluru. They're a Hindu family, extremely conservative, middle class. By some quirk of fate, one twin is taken to, say, the United States and grows up in a Christian family in the US. with those value systems, will they show the same personality? Answer is yes. So they might have different value systems. They might behave a little differently, but their personality will be the almost identical still. So going to show the fact that personality comes from our genes more often than not. And it's a very interesting phenomenon. And there is some personality change over long periods of time, but not too much. So personality which you get and form at a young age sticks with you. And that's why the formative years for children are very, very important. Yeah. After about 15, 16, it's very difficult to change anything. So yeah, that's a little bit about a personality determinant. And it comes from your genes and your parents and your grandparents and so on and so forth. Yeah. So what is a personality trait? So enduring characteristics that describe an individual's behavior. The more consistent the characteristic and the more frequently it occurs in diverse situations, the more important the trait. In plain English. Like I said, there are two models that we're going to look at. One is the Myers-Briggs type indicator, or the MBTI, and the other one is the Big Five model. We'll look at both these constructs. So a very interesting test is the Rorschach ink blot test. And what do you think you see in front of you?
A butterfly.
Butterfly. Bat. Okay.
Bat.
Okay. What else?
Beetle.
Beetle. Okay. Anybody else?
That
Pumpkin.
seems a watercolor painting.
It's a watercolor painting. Okay. Does anybody see Narendra Modi delivering his Republic Day speech?
No.
Definitely no, sir.
No, sir.
Huh? You sure?
Yes, sir, kind of. Yes, he has raised both the hands.
Okay, Preeti Singh, my good friend. Anybody else?
No, sir.
Come on, guys. Tell me what you see there.
Looks like a paint on a bike.
It's kind of a fox's face, sir.
Yes, sir. It looks like a fox face.
So fox's face. Okay.
So the man standing and raising his hands with the two wings.
Man standing and raising his hands with two wings. Okay. What else? So the Rorschach ink blot test is a very interesting personality test. It is used extensively to determine mental illness. And normal people see it as a bat, a moth, and so on and so forth. There are people who also see it as, like I said, Virat Kohli scoring a 6 or something like that. So it's a very interesting personality test used in extreme conditions. Not so much seen in industry, but it gives you an indication or a peek into a person's psyche, right? And how it is done, there is a blotting paper taken, some ink is thrown on it, it is folded, and then it gives up various shapes. This is one example, but then you could have different kinds of shapes coming up, and people are asked to, give their thoughts on what they see. So if ever you visit for whatever reason, if you visit a mental institution, you will find that they are administering the Rorschach ink blot test on their patients. It's a personality test of a simpler kind. And then it is taken by trained psychologists and it is analyzed as to what you have said. And then there's another interesting test called the thematic apperception test, or TAT. I don't know how many, have you gone through this? Anybody gone through this TAT?
No, sir.
So TAT is very, very popular with the Indian Army. Yeah. So the TAT was brought in by the German Armed Forces. And then it's a very interesting test. So These two pictures are not related to each other. Okay, first of all. Now, if somebody, let's leave the right one out of this lady. Let's look at the left one of this young lady and the old lady. I want you to look at this picture and write a story. That is, what do you think? What do you think you see here? What do you think is happening? And how this thing is going to end? So, what do you think is happening in this picture? Yeah. What it is about and how it is going to end. In a few words, if you can write a story only on the left side picture. Can you do that, please? Let's take a couple of minutes off. Can you start?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yeah, please. So has anybody written a story?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Tell me. Go ahead.
So this is Ganapati here.
Yeah, Ganapati.
So in the left side image, I see two images. One is of a young lady and an old lady.
Correct.
So I feel that the old lady is remembering her younger days, how she had spent it out, how beautiful she was, and she is thinking of that and cherishing her memories.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Shall I say something?
Who's this?
Yeah, this is Sundar.
Yeah, Sundar, go ahead.
Yeah. So this old lady is actually watching her, but she is not telling anything to her at this point of time. So it basically means that she wants to probably use that information at a later point of a time to either get me to do some work or probably she is, I mean, at this point of a time, she's trying to use something. So I have to be careful and, probably plan.
Nice, nice. You brought in a little bit of a conspiracy theory there. Okay.
One of the story can be the lady which is behind was staying in a rude villages, and there was a lot of what do you say, things were happening with her, like people used to she should wear like this, and because of like this she became like this, and after some time she realized this is not how I want to live. And then she totally revamped her, and then now she's looking like this. She got experience with, like, she went to maybe something like she was staying in Arab area, and then now she went to Europe, and now she's living life like this.
Okay, okay, fine. I won't comment on that geographical change.
Okay.
Yeah?
One of the answer could be like she's a lady who is mourning about her grandmother, so who has died a long time ago, but still she thinks that she is actually having a back unknowingly. So she's right here behind her all the time, supporting her. That's how I could see that.
Nice. Any women with any story?
Yes, sir. I
A
feel
mother-in-law
that.
with
1 minute. Yeah, Varshini, you were saying something.
Yeah, so I feel that the old lady is being crooked for herself and is trying to manipulate the young lady so that she can get any benefit out of her. And
Very
this
nice.
young lady, she's taking undue advantage of the like the old lady is taking undue advantage of the situation, which is not known to the young lady, and she tends to blindly believe the old lady. So,
Very nice. Okay, so that's the story.
Same story, sir. Yes, sir.
Who's this?
Preeti.
Preeti, same story, yeah?
Yeah. So like looking back into our mythology of Ramayana.
Okay. And
Answer. That first lady, yeah, the lady who is in the front saw a children playing around her. So
yeah.
she thought that she would be a child, not young. And the old lady which is standing behind her, she is thinking that I should be the young, not the old.
Okay, good. So you got a picture. So you can see that I've shown this picture to many people, and all of you have come out with different stories. And so you can see the right side one as well. So this is a different picture altogether. There's a man lying on the bed. There's a lady crying here, or we think she's crying. We don't know really. This you can write a different story. Anybody written a story about this one, the right hand side one?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Tell me.
I think the man
Ganapati
has
here.
died, and that's why she's crying.
What's that? Jaswi, no?
Yeah.
Why is she crying?
I feel like he has died, so that's why she's kind of
Very
crying.
morbid. He has died. You think she murdered him or something?
I feel she murdered him, and now she's sobbing after doing that act.
Okay, wonderful. Ganapati,
Actually,
Sir, I feel he has committed suicide. Due
Okay.
to some blame, this lady would have blamed on him.
Hmm.
And after knowing the fact, the lady is regretting now.
Great.
hello,
Wonderful.
Captain.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that person had drunk and came, and he had arrested that lady. So she is coming outside and she is crying.
Excellent, Pratham. So you can see that all of you have different thoughts on these pictures, yeah? And so you can look at other pictures, like for example, on the left-hand side, this lady and this man, and then the right-hand side. So let's look at the right-hand one, the guy covering his face. What do you think happened here? Any thoughts?
Sir, his wife is sick, so he can't able to understand what he want to do now.
His wife is sick, Syed, so he doesn't know what to do. Okay, excellent.
I think his wife had, or that mother, someone laying in the bed had died, so he's not able to control his feeling.
Not able to control his feelings. Okay. Anybody else?
It looks like that lady has been raped or something. She's a victim, and he came in and he couldn't look at the site, and he covered up his face.
So she's been molested, so he can't face the fact, and yeah, okay.
I feel like that lady was ill from so many days, and this guy, he was praying to God using the Bible, which is there on the table, and whole night he was reading the Bible, and still he could not save the lady, and then he is regretting and he's crying that he could not save.
Where is this a reference to the Bible? Do you see a Bible somewhere here?
You see in the table, it's there.
Yes. Book is there.
There's a book there. Okay. Okay, fair. Good. You're a very observant guy.
Yes, sir.
Ankita Mandal, are you there?
Yes, sir. So, am I audible?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, I think I would actually go with that other person's story. Like she has been harassed or, molested, and he can't face looking at her like that.
Right. So, one more picture here. So you get the idea, right? This is called the thematic apperception test. Basically, how it works is there are 21 cards like this, and they are given to you, and you have about 2 minutes to write a story. So you really don't have time to think, and you're writing stories. And then the last card, the 21st card, is a blank card. There is nothing on it. So you write just whatever comes into your head, and then you submit it. And then this is checked by trained psychologists who sort of have a very deep insight into personality, and then they come up with a construct of how your personality is. It's a very powerful tool. And I learned TAT some time back, and I applied it on a few of my students, and it started frightening me because I could get a deep insight into their own psyche. People look very normal from outside, but then many people have dark secrets, are troubled deeply, and then it starts coming out in a thematic apperception test. Industries generally don't do a TAT. It is very, very popular with the armed forces. So the Indian armed forces use it extensively. So when I went for my service selection board, I was put through the thematic apperception test. Of course, I was very young at that time. I did not know really what was happening. But it's a very powerful tool that can be used, generally not used in normal industry. Yeah.
Sir, any particular reason why it's not used in organizations if it's that powerful?
I think it's a very, very, very invasive tool. I think, you can really delve into somebody's psyche very deeply. And it can tantamount to invasion of privacy. You can elicit dark secrets about people, how they think and why they think. And so, for example, when I did it on a student of mine, I did it on one male student and one female student. This female student looked very intelligent, very bright, very normal, and it started throwing up very dark secrets. And then later I came to know that she had a very troubled childhood and so on and so forth. So, and I was not feeling very happy for myself for getting to know these facts. So, in industry, you don't really have to go that deep. In a military situation, it's very, very crucial because you're in enclosed spaces, you are in stressful situations, you're carrying weapons. So people want to know deeply about your personality. Industry, I think the stakes are not that high. So it's really not done. So you do other tests in industry. You can do an MBTI, or you can do a Big Five personality test or something like that. You don't have to use a TAT.
Professor, I think there's similar kinds I have also seen in the school days where they'll ask us to write a storytelling and all. So I don't think at that point of time it is more of a personality thing, but more of a storytelling thing that these pictures can be used as.
Yeah, that is more of a motivational thing. They wanted to write story and so on and so forth. So I remember talking about school days. I have a cousin brother who went on to become an IAS officer and a very senior guy at that. So many years back, when they asked him to write a story, he said, "I want to be Nutan's car driver." So Nutan was a very famous actress at those days in Hindi cinema, and my uncle got the shock of his life because the school reported it back to him, saying that your son says he wants to be a car driver of a Hindi cinema actress. So that is more of a motivational tool. They want to elicit some interest in kids and show them a goal and so on and so forth. These are very, very powerful tools which sort of delve deeply into a person's psyche. Yeah, you understand psyche? I assume.
Yeah.
What happens in our head?
So one question. Now, I'm not sure how far it is actually relatable, but a couple of movies that I watched in the past where there are serial killers who undergo this as a part of their analysis.
Yeah.
But the serial killer tries to manipulate the image. Sees for example, he says that he sees a beautiful butterfly.
Yeah.
He's trying to be very kind in the way he expresses his ideas. But does that give an incorrect evaluation of
So it's a very good question because it's very difficult because, like I said, you're given 21 cards at a stretch and you have to do it in 1 hour's time. That means you have about 2.5 minutes to write a story. So after a point of time, you start losing track and it becomes very difficult for you to manipulate. I don't know how many of you have seen this movie called Hannibal Lecter. The Red Dragon and so on, about this guy Anthony Hopkins. So Anthony Hopkins goes through these tests of the thematic apperception and the Rorschach ink plot, all these tests, and they are used on psychopathic people, psychopathic killers, and so on and so forth. Very deep insight into personality. Yeah. It's not easy to manipulate these tests, if that's what you're asking.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
So, what's a psychopath?
Check.
Antisocial.
Mad guy.
Mad guy, huh?
The person who
Typically
loses
somebody
control over the mind.
who is obsessed with something, right? I mean, he wants to do something completely out, very too much obsessive about something.
So let me give you a scenario. Let me paint you a scenario. Okay. So there is this lady who goes to her mother has passed away. So she goes to her mother's funeral, and she is standing there and feeling very sad. And suddenly she sees a very, very, very handsome man, and she is sort of besotted by this guy, and she wants to sort of get to know him. But she's caught up in the busyness of the occasion because it is her mother's funeral. And then by the time she can reach out to this man, he has disappeared. So now she is distraught. She wants to meet this guy because she's really attracted to him. And then she later on finds out that this man was her sister's friend. Yeah, she has a younger sister, and she is this younger sister's friend. So, what do you think this lady should do now?
Approach his sister and get to know him. Like try
Approach her sister and get to know him. Okay. Anything else?
So she would probably get onto the conclusion like they might be having some relationship, and then she should take a back seat probably. Or they.
So she should take a back seat. Okay.
After this conclusion, she might take his number and she may talk with him.
But if
After
she's a psycho,
she better take a back seat.
She will go and talk with her sister, like what's that guy about and everything about. I mean, she will try to approach her via her sister.
Okay.
See, if she's not in a talking terms with her sister and all, she may probably kill her so that this guy comes back for the funeral.
Yeah, correct. So that is psychopathic behavior. So that is classically how a psychopath would behave. Psychopaths would kill their own sister to get this guy back, because they would figure that if this guy came for one funeral, he would come for another funeral. And then it is found by research that if you have a group of 100 people, one of them is a psychopathic killer. So you can figure, if you have a class size of 155 people like you have got, at least one person, 1.5 people amongst you is a psychopath by average definition. So you don't know. Look around you. The next person you might be talking to might be a psychopath. So be alert about it. Yeah. So tests like this, the thematic apperception test and so on and so forth, they give you an idea about psychopathic behavior. So an interesting test. Of course, you have to go through a questionnaire, but then the end results give you what is called as the MBTI. MBTI is very popular. It's a counseling tool. It's again not used much in industry, but it is used by psychologists, career counselors, coaches, and so on and so forth as a counseling tool. And once it's administered, you get these combinations. So you get first of all, whether you're extroverted, introverted, that is sociable and assertive, or you're quiet and shy, your sensing, that is your practical and orderly, or your intuitive, that is your unconscious processes drive your thinking and decision making, whether you use reason and logic, that is thinking, or you use values and emotions. Are you an emotional person and you make your decisions emotionally, or you use a cold reason and logic? Yeah. And then finally, you want order and structure, that is judging, or you're perceiving, that is you're flexible and spontaneous. So you can have a combination like ISTP, or you can have ENTJ. So the Myers-Briggs type indicator gives you, after you do this test, gives you an indication as to what really are you like. Yeah. So
one quick question. There have been scenarios where in our office there were such kinds of sessions, and when they asked to do a self-analyzation and say what are you, which bucket do you fall under, there are few times where like it's maybe you're an extrovert or an introvert, but there are certain traits that is mix and match. Like maybe at certain scenario I will act as an introvert, at certain scenario I will be an extrovert. So how can I do a self analysis at those point of time where I have to call out if I'm an extrovert or an introvert?
Yeah, I can't really comment on you, Nikita, because I don't know you very well. But what do you think I am? Do you think I'm an extrovert or introvert?
Extrovert.
Actually, I'm a pretty introverted person. But whenever I feel like in a social setting, I can sort of play the game quite well. But eventually, I want to go back home. I want to relax by myself. I don't like inane, stupid conversation. So you might be also, what is called as ambidextrous or ambiverted. For example, you might be in the middle somewhere. You can go both ways. You can be introverted. You can also be extroverted. But there are also people who fall into the extreme, either extroverted or introverted. So you might be somewhere in the middle, and you might be ambiverted. Yeah.
Sir, I have one question here. So, are introverts are accepted in business organizations?
Introverts are some of the greatest people. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Mahatma Gandhi, Captain Nagaraj, all are introverts.
Sir, they are in the top levels, right? What if they are in a team as a team player?
So obviously, you don't want an introvert to go and do a event management job or a sales job. So select carefully. The advantage of introverts are that they're very careful people. Introverts generally focus on doing the job extremely carefully and well. So for example, if you're looking for a good accountant, you might have a introvert. On a ship, suppose I was looking for a crane operator, somebody who's very careful and focused on their job, otherwise they can cause accidents. I would go for an introvert. So select the person for the right job. You want an event manager, don't go for a introvert, it might fail. You want a salesperson, you might not want an introvert. Yeah, you might want an extrovert. So I think you must kind of profile the job, profile the person, and get a match. There is no absolute right or wrong. I mean, it is good to be extroverted, it is good to be introverted. There's nothing like that. You choose an appropriate job.
Thank you, Captain.
Yeah. So the MBTI is a very, again, important personality test. A lot of people use it. Not so much industry, used for counseling. So suppose I have found that you are an introvert, but you're in the wrong job, then I can tell you that, look, maybe this is not really working for you. Why don't you go and try to do something else, and you may find success. So again, things like using reason and logic, that is thinking versus feeling. Some jobs you need to use cold reason and logic. Some jobs you need to be emotive and use value systems, and so on and so forth. So it gives you an idea about. It allows you also to introspect. I recommend that all of you go and take this test and find out about yourselves so that you can introspect and try to make change. At least if you recognize what you are, you can make some suitable changes. Yeah.
Sir, can you define extrovert? Uh,
Extroverts are people who are the joy of a party. They can sing, they can play the guitar. They are, when they see you in the morning, they say hi, hello, as if you are their best friend. They talk to everybody. They circulate the room. They're always full of, joie de vivre, like the French say. So they're always joyful people. They're running and jumping around. Have you met those kind of people?
yes, definitely.
Very bubbly and so on. Introverts are quiet, shy people. They'll sit in the back of a room. They won't talk too much. They look a little boring. You think that they have no energy at all, and so on.
Is it possible like introvert can become extrovert?
Very difficult. Very difficult.
Sir, any particular combination of these all traits which is considered to be close to ideal or something like that?
So the Americans say it is good to be extroverted, the Americans came up with this theory that all leaders are extroverted people. I don't believe that, because some of the greatest leaders that we have seen have been introverts. Um, uh, like I said, Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or Mahatma Gandhi. All these guys are not showmen. They are very, very private people. They keep their thoughts to themselves, and they are introverted people. So I would not, stick my neck out and say it is better to be introverted or extroverted. It's kind of, what should I say? It's kind of each person for themselves and how they make it work for themselves. So introverted people are, I'll come to the big five and draw a correlation between introversion and what is called as conscientiousness. Conscientiousness is how responsible you are at your life, how you treat other people, and how you do your job. Yeah.
Sir, one question. So extrovert and introvert, are these two different kind of personalities?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, sir.
So, sir, suppose there is an extrovert person and he's locked in a one room. So, like, what will be his feeling, or how he will behave? He will try to go out, or it's okay for him?
So, are you trying to suggest that an introverted person is locked in a room is okay?
No. So, as discussed now, like introvert person is okay with whenever he's alone or something, because he
No,
don't
for
want.
short stretches of time. You don't want to be imprisoned, right? In solitary confinement.
No. I'm not saying about imprisonment. It's like for a half an hour or something.
So let's put it this way: extroverted people derive their energy by meeting other people. Introverted people derive their energy by being by themselves.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. So obviously, an extroverted people, if you keep him away from other people, feels a little agitated and so on and so forth. Introverted people might be just fine for short stretches of time, but nobody likes to be imprisoned, because fundamentally, people are social animals. We like society. We want to interact with other people. We want to talk to them, and we want to be around other people. If you are kept in solitary confinement, that's why in jails and all that stuff, you're kept in solitary confinement, so that you sort of feel the pain. Yeah.
Yes.
So one question. So both this introvert and extrovert is decided based on the situations.
What's that?
A person, whether if I want to judge a person whether he's extrovert or the introvert, it based on a situation and the circumstances.
Based on a test.
Okay.
Based on a well-researched test, which is called the MBTI. Yeah.
Sir, I would just like to ask you a question.
Yeah.
So, as you mentioned that according to the situations, also an introvert can, revert like an extrovert, and an extrovert can also revert like an introvert. So, as you just mentioned that according to a very good test, a well, analyzed test, only then can we actually determine if a person is an extrovert or an introvert.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but leave the test alone. It is important for you to know what you are.
Yes.
See, we always don't need other people to tell us what we are. Fundamentally, what I'm trying to tell you is you find out what you are and self-reflect upon it, or introspect.
Okay, sir.
Will this change with the comfort zone of a person?
No, I didn't get that question. Go ahead.
A person, will he be introvert or extrovert, depending on the comfort zone? For example, when I get into a comfort where I'm comfortable with few people, I talk a lot. And when a place where I'm not comfortable with the people, I just I do not speak much. So does the comfort zone also play a valid positive point?
Yeah, maybe for an introvert, yes. Maybe introverts who generally don't speak so much, when they have really comfortable place, they might speak a little bit more. But extroverts are people who are comfortable speaking in whatever location you place them. So introverts, of course, might be a little bit more open when they're more comfortable.
Is it difficult for introvert to create network with others?
Yes, yes.
So like Bill Gates, how he has created such a big network?
Bill Gates doesn't have to create a network. People will network with him by themselves. Yeah. So that is the point I was trying to make. So if you have figured out that you are an introvert and you know there is a problem in networking, then you might like to make proactive steps in networking. So there is an issue. So if networking is important to you and you are an introvert, you might like to take proactive actions to network. Yeah.
How can we break that?
How can you break that? Go and become member of Rotary Club, Lions Club, get onto LinkedIn, send invites, go and talk to strangers. There's great fun in talking to strangers. Some of them will swat you on the face with a newspaper. Other people will talk to you, share their stories. So make attempts. Don't sit in a room and then keep brooding about it that I don't know people. Make attempts to go and network with other people. You don't have to become their thick and fast friends. You can get to know them. You can make acquaintances, right? So there are many ways in which you can go and sort of network. Find out and go and become a member of book reading club. Go and become a member of a cycling club, jogging club. Thousands of ways.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it should not be used as a selection test for job candidates. It's a very popular tool, but like I said, it's mainly a counseling tool. It's a tool that people might use, for finding out what is the personality of another person, but not used as a selection tool. What is used as a selection tool is what is called as the Big Five, very popular. The Big Five test has, as the title says, 5 personality traits. These are called as extroversion. That is, a person is sociable, gregarious, and assertive. Agreeable, a person is good-natured, cooperative, and trusting. So conscientious, this is not conscious, this is conscientious. That is, a person is responsible, dependable, persistent, and organized. Emotional stability, a person is calm, self-confident, secure under stress versus nervous, depressed, and insecure. So emotional stability versus neurotic people, there is something called as neuroticism, where you behave in a very emotionally unstable state, and they call neurotic people. And then finally, open to experience, that is curious, imaginative, artistic, and sensitive. These people are also, they have flights of fancy, they're open to new ideas. So how many of you like to kind of taste new food every time you go to a restaurant, or you stick to the same old pattern?
I like to explore.
I like to experience.
So you want to go and have a soup made of cockroach next time. How many of you are up to it?
I am ready.
Place
Sir, again,
food eater I am, whether I'm vegetarian or non-vegetarian. So.
In veg zone, not in non-veg zone.
In veg, okay. So so that's a good trait. So people also, want to try many things in life. You want to go and do bungee jumping. You want to go and bungee jumping. You want to go and do skydiving. You want different experiences. So that is open to experience. And a lot of organizations look for people like this, because these are the kind of guys who have these flights of fancy. They're imaginative. They can come up with new ideas. They lead to innovation and creativity, and so on and so forth. So you can see that why, suppose there is an organization that is looking for a sales guy. Obviously, he wants an extrovert, and he does not want an introvert. So he will look for an extrovert. There are organizations which want their people to be agreeable, that is good-natured. Adobe is one such organization. They want their people to be agreeable. It's very important to them. They want people to be kind and nice to other people. Infosys, old Infosys was under such organization. They wanted people to be agreeable. So they selected such people. conscientiousness, that is responsible, dependable, persistent, organized. Emotional
Hello.
stability. Emotional stability, of course, the armed forces want emotionally stable people. They don't want neurotic people who do peculiar things under pressure. So this is a very important selection tool. You can run a test and then you can figure out whether a person, I mean, along these 5 traits, that is extroversion versus introversion, agreeableness versus disagreeableness, conscientious versus casual, emotional stability versus neurotic, open to experience versus not open to experience, very conservative. So you can get a profile of a person and then decide whether to choose the guy or not.
Captain here, Surya here. I think last 15 months back we had an interview in our organization. I work for Boeing Aerospace, so we had an interview. So I have selected one guy whose like hobbies were like extroverts. Okay, so but he was technical sound. My manager said no, we don't want this guy. So I later I asked him. Later I asked him. He's talented in technical, but why you not taken him? Because he said like he is too extrovert. He will spoil my entire team. My team is like I select people introvert because they will focus on their work. They will not. I mean like they do it. Miss Boeing believe in doing innovation and creating new things. So if a extrovert comes and he's very social and he was like bungee jump, all those things, he starts doing it, these people will follow him and they will also like do that. So that's why he rejected him. I didn't understand why, because he was technical sound actually. So
yeah, but then also what impact? So your manager might have been right. He was looking at what impact this guy
yeah,
has on the team, and whether
yeah,
he will spoil the team dynamics. And then he made
exactly.
a decision.
Yeah.
So we don't know really. Yeah.
So do you think like all technical or technological driven companies like who is involved in innovation or who is involved in R&D like defense, like Boeing is defense and innovation in is that like those companies will target only the introvert people in the company, or like every company does like this?
No,
I'm
not
upfront actually.
necessarily. There are a lot of companies that say companies that, again, like I said, are in the event management business or in the sales and marketing business. They might want extroverted people, while people are who are into more serious things. Say, for example, your R&D unit
Yeah.
might want more introverted people, because introverted people, by definition and by research, are more conscientious. That is, they're much more careful about their job. They are exact. They pay attention to what is going on. Extroverted people are a little bit, I would say this very carefully, but
Lenient.
a little casual, little casual.
Yeah.
So you might like to make that choice, but again, you must understand that there are no Surya, there are no absolutes. So it does not mean that an extroverted person cannot be careful. Yeah, but generally there is a pattern which forms.
Yeah. And one more thing, Captain, I even observed if somebody thinks okay, Surya is introvert, and if Surya changes to become an extrovert, they will not accept actually. This I've seen in first company of mine, where I went into the guitar classes and I posted some of the musical videos, all those things in Facebook and all. I was tagging people of my team, and later when I came to the office, one of my senior colleague told me not to do this and tag people of your organization, because this is not a this has become an ethic issue, because you are paid, you are saying that I like what do you say, you are pulling people towards go on encouraging to learn guitar classes, and that is not right, he said. And other people also think okay, this company employees are very lenient and they are do this a kind of dance or give music or all these things. So he just wanted to, okay, we are into aerospace domain, we want to be like technical. If
You
we
want to
something
present you want to present a serious face.
I don't know. I don't know. That's why that shows something
So there was a
unacceptable.
so there was a case in the United States where a senior vice president of a company that of the technical kind, he was extremely brilliant. One Sunday morning, he was found walking down the street in women's clothes.
Okay.
What should you do with this guy?
Ask him what's wrong.
Sunday morning.
Yeah.
He was walking down the main street of the town in women's clothes.
Sir, maybe he was drunk.
Maybe he was very sober. He was not drunk.
Maybe he is hiding.
So what should know what?
He
I mean,
just
let's
want
not try
he,
to
he,
dissect
he
what
just
he
want to
did.
be himself.
So you are the company CEO. What will you do?
I feel he wanted to attract people towards himself and
I'm
want to
not
be the
asking you to
focus.
psychoanalyze this guy. I'm asking you, what will you do as the
I'll ask
CEO?
him. I'll ask him what is wrong with you.
Okay. What else?
I will laugh and leave it to him.
Okay, wonderful. What else? Anybody else?
Honestly, what he does on his own time, does it really affect the company? I mean, he was doing it on a Sunday.
Okay. So would anybody sack him?
I don't think so. I mean, it's
Yes.
something he wanted to do.
They might sack him because he's representing that company.
Yeah, company. Because it will be captured in the media. So the reputation
So it is what is called as besmirching the reputation of your company. It's a very serious offense. As senior vice president, walking in woman's clothes in a public place, the company took a very dim view of it. So Surya, coming back to your point about what is the kind of picture your company wants to represent in to the rest of the world is very important to them. And that is why I suppose your manager told you that don't play the guitar and tag other people and so on and so forth. It gives a slightly unserious view of the whole situation. So there are limits. I think you must understand there are limits to freedom. Yeah. While we all enjoy freedom and independence, there are limits to it, and companies take a very dim view of. So let me tell you of a personal example. I was teaching once in a class, and this was, a program where, and I had a very young girl in my team. She had just joined. She was about 23, 24 years old, very playful. And so she was walking around, and then she said, sir, so I was doing different things even those days. I was a professor. I was also an administrator. So she was from the administrative wing, and she said, sir, can I come and sit in your class? So I said, no problem, please come, feel free. So she came and sat down there, and then I lost track what was happening. I kept teaching. There was one particular fellow who had some medical condition, and he would actually fall asleep and snore. And the general thing, everybody knew. So the general thing was whenever he was sleeping, somebody would wake him up and he would come back to attention. So what had happened without my attention was that, without my noticing, was that this girl had taken a picture of him sleeping on her phone and then posted it on Facebook, saying that, look, student of so-and-so university is sleeping in class. Yeah? How do you think the university is going to react?
So they
Not
assume
taken
that
it in a
somebody
right manner, because it jeopardizes the reputation, and without knowing the background, just putting a photo like that is a serious offense in my view.
Yeah.
They will put you in a very difficult spot.
Without taking the consent of that person. That's the first thing that she shouldn't have done. And other thing, like, she's actually taking the name of this university at stake. So both the things.
Yeah. So that's what happened. Finally, she got the boot, got sacked. I felt very bad. And I said that, since it was my class and this girl reported to me, I was responsible. But it was not accepted, and she got the sack. And okay, I got her another job. But then it was a learning for me as well to be a little bit more alert of what is happening around me. Yeah. So organizations want to represent themselves in a certain way, and if they find that their employees are doing something that is detrimental to their to what they perceive is right, they are going to take a very dim view. Yeah. Right. So I hope you got a picture of the big 5 model of personality dimensions.
Just one question before you move. Is this the same as what they call as a ocean trait in typical management terms? OCEAN?
I don't think so.
Okay. Because I am trying to link it from, I was just doing some study for marketing. They had something called as a consumer preference or consumer.
No, I think that is more of behavioral psychology. Okay. This is to deal really with personality.
Because it talks about conscientiousness, agreeableness. Some of these are common, so that's why I was a bit.
Some of them might be common, but this is classic personality.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, one question, not to be off topic, but in India we have this astrology, zodiac signs and all.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a study that we can do to relate it to personality, sir?
Yeah, I mean, if you believe in astrology and you believe in zodiac signs and so on and so forth, each zodiac signs show a different kind of behavioral trait and personality. And if you can link them and you find it good for you. But I don't think you're going to convince organizations to look at people's astrological signs and then hire.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So, so some of the other personality traits relevant to organization behavior are core self-evaluation, the degree to which people like or dislike themselves. Positive self-evaluation leads to higher job performance. So, do you really like yourself, or you don't like yourself? When you look at yourself in the mirror in the morning, can you really kind of accept what you're seeing, or is there some deep down disgruntlement and so on and so forth? Core self-evaluation is important. People should obviously like themselves. If they like themselves, they seem to do better. So, positive self-evaluation leads to higher job performance simply because people are more satisfied with their jobs. The Machiavellianism is very important. Machiavellianism are people. So Niccolo Machiavelli was a minister in Italy, and he was actually, there was a guy called Chanakya. I don't know whether you heard of Chanakya.
Yeah.
Yes.
Chanakya, who's the minister of Chandragupta Maurya. Yeah. So he wrote a book called the Arthashastra, and a brilliant book, treatise. So Chanakya was a very erudite man, and basically his thesis was that the end justifies the means. So a king should do whatever it takes to first of all survive in power and to look after his people. And that was his treatise. And that is what is called Machiavellianism. Machiavellis are those people who use every means possible in an industry to get ahead. That is, they manipulate, they sort of play games, they're political, and so on and so forth. So in organizations where rules are not very tight, or you don't have policies, Machiavellians are people who thrive, and they're able to convince people, they're able to talk people through, they do brilliantly at interviews, and these people are very, very smart. They play the system. They may not be the most, they may not be the best at their work, but they are very successful because they play the system very well, and they're able to manipulate other people to get what they want to get. I'm sure all of you have met Machiavellis. These are smart people. Yeah. Narcissism. So narcissists are people who believe in themselves, who believe that it's either my way or the highway. They're arrogant, entitled, self-important. Some of our greatest leaders are narcissists. So the great Lee Kuan Yew, the man who built Singapore, was a known narcissist. So he said that either you fall in line and do what I tell you to do for the good of everybody, or you can go and do whatever you want. Don't come with me. So these people don't believe in democracy so much. They don't believe that you can express your ideas. As long as you fall in line and do what they tell you to do, they are fine with it. So narcissism is a very important personality trait. Have you guys come across any narcissists? Anybody you can think of?
Hitler?
Hitler was a good example, yes. What about our current incumbent Prime Minister, Modi ji?
I was about to say that, sir.
Yes, both Modi and Shah, sir. I believe both of them are narcissists.
Amit Shah also.
What about Jawaharlal Nehru?
Jawaharlal Nehru, yes.
Yes.
So you will find that many of our politicians are narcissists. It's either my way or the highway. They're also insecure people. Either you fall into line or you go and do something else.
Next example is Arnab Goswami.
Alexander. So just to put a point over here, so you have that second point which says that less effective in their jobs. So many of things, if it are narcissists also, their jobs will actually effective. So I don't know, a couple of names which put across might be fitting into narcissism. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, narcissists are less effective in their jobs because they don't take advice very kindly. So even when you're telling them that they're doing something wrong, they don't believe you. Or they don't correct.
Now, where do I draw a line between narcissism and a strong leader?
Very thin line. Good point. So, for example, was Jawaharlal Nehru a good leader? Answer definitively is yes, he was.
Yes.
Yeah, but the problem was that he started believing himself in so much that obvious signs of things going wrong he did not take account. So, for example, corruption set in into India during his time. Yeah, the Chinese, everybody knew. 10 years before the Chinese attacked us, everybody knew that this day was coming. He would not prepare. And he had a crazy defense minister called Krishna Menon, who gave him even further stupid advice. And they were manufacturing pressure cookers in our ordnance factories. So when we went to war in 1962, we were utterly unprepared. And it's not that nobody knew. The Indian army was pretty sure that this day was coming. So that is what narcissists do for you. They sort of start believing in themselves so much that they ignore the obvious.
I mean, when somebody becomes leader, so he does not become by himself. Like he becomes leader because he has a support. For an example, we take the example of Hitler. So we will say Hitler was not good and all those things, but he reached to that position because of support from people, right? So what I mean to say is, afterwards he became a bad person and whatever he did was not good, but there was support from some people for him to become like that, right? So what I'm saying is he was a leader and people were supporting him. That's why he became the leader, even though his ideas were bad, but people believed in him.
And they paid the price. So
Yes.
all those people who believed in him. So just look at this. So the German people believed in Adolf Hitler. When in 1945 the Russians invaded Germany from the east, it is said that every woman between the age of 8 to 80 in Germany was raped. Yeah, that was the price that the German nation had to pay.
And so one more question.
So for those people, who supported Adolf Hitler, it was the price that they had to pay. Yeah. So you can support people, all right, and then make them into leaders. But please remember that you have to face the consequences of their actions. Yeah, somebody was saying something.
I was just reading the statement for or definition of narcissism. It says less effective in their jobs. Now, if I have to compare a person like Adolf Hitler, I think he was a great, probably a very barbaric person, but in terms of his leadership skills, in terms of he being able to dictate or at least deliver what he wanted or thought is his ideology, he's done a fabulous job.
How so?
He wanted Germany to be a superpower. He's achieved it.
Was it? Germany was battered. Germany was hammered into submission. Germany invaded the Soviet Union and they lost half their army. It was a wrong decision. They could not invade England. The Battle of Britain they lost. They were hammered in Africa by the Americans. The Americans invaded them from the west, the Russians from the east. So how do you say Hitler made mistake after mistake after mistake because he wouldn't listen to his generals. He forced General Erwin Rommel to commit suicide because Rommel wouldn't listen to him. Hitler was a classic narcissist who had the first mover advantage. They caught the rest of the country sleeping. France and England were sleeping, so they won the initial. America was not in the war, so they caught them sleeping, and then they got initial success. But the tide turned. After 1942, Hitler lost everything, and you should sort of follow him closely. He might have had early successes, didn't work.
Sir, I believe he was a bit greedy in acquiring in countries.
Okay.
Like,
no, I want you to listen.
Like China,
Hello.
Yeah.
Go and meet a few Germans. Yeah. I commanded a German ship. I worked very closely with Germans. Okay. Go and ask them what they think of Adolf Hitler. And we can come back for a discussion.
You're right.
The pain he brought to the German nation has not gone away after about 75 years. Yeah. The pain that the German people had to endure because of this foolish man has not disappeared. Good.
Same as Japan did.
Japan did, many other countries did. They have the great leaders who inspire some funny ideology, and then they go and try to sort of do peculiar things, and then they get a hammering. And then Hitler committed suicide. He shot himself in the head. But his people, like I said, everybody between the age of 8, every woman between the age of 80 and 80 in Germany was molested by Russians invading. Why? Because they did the same thing in Stalingrad. When they invaded Russia, they behaved similarly with the Russian people. So they got their revenge. Anyway, we'll stop history and we'll move on with OB. What's the time? Time is about what? Now it's 11, right? So can we take a quick break, please?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We've had a very interesting engagement. So let's take a quick break and we'll come back in about 10-12 minutes. Yeah?
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, now we can record. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, good. So we'll come to motivation concepts. And what is motivation?
Inspiration to do things.
So what is your what?
Inspiration to do things.
Inspiration to do things. Okay.
Making people positive energy to giving a positive vibes or giving a positive thoughts of motivating your people.
Giving positive things to motivate people. Okay, very good.
Emotional boost.
Encouragement. Okay. So do you think as manager you should motivate your people or you should be motivated?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We need to be self-motivated so that we can motivate others also.
You need to be self-motivated so that you can motivate other people. Also very good. Okay. So after you finish this chapter, you should be able to describe the 3 elements of motivation, identify 4 early theories of motivation, and evaluate their applicability today. So there are theories of motivation that we look at and quickly try to see what exactly we are talking about motivation. And then you can take it from there, read the chapter probably. I will try to give you some idea about what exactly we're talking about. So, defining motivation, the results of the interaction between the individual and the situation. So, what is the result of the interaction between the individual and the situation? So, motivation has got 3 parts, that is intensity, direction, and persistence. So, how hard are you willing to try? What is your intensity level? How intense? What we call as passion. Direction, effort that is channeled towards and consistent with organization goals. So what is your understanding of passion?
Just giving yourself wholeheartedly towards something.
Are you really going to give yourself wholeheartedly towards something? Are you passionate? Do you believe in something very strongly? Yeah. Um, and then, so I just wanted to show you a quick this thing, please. Can I digress for a minute, if you don't mind?
Sure, sir.
Yeah, just hold on for 1 minute, please. Okay, so I wanted to watch this. Can you mute, please, those people who are not speaking anything? I want to watch this clip and then tell me what you think about it, yeah? Can all of you see?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, Professor.
So that is a very interesting case where, this plane takes off from New York, LaGuardia, and then both engines fail. The plane is over New York. What should the pilot do?
But take care of the passengers first.
Keep the passengers calm.
He should land the plane safely.
He should land the plane safely, yeah?
Yeah.
So it's a very tricky situation, right? And let's see what the pilot does, yeah? Just give me 1 second, just pull up that. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, so we're back, and I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, Professor.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah. So that was the great Captain Sully Sullenberger. Landed his plane in the river in 2010. He saved all his passengers. Every time I go to New York, I go to this place where he landed his plane in the river. It's fascinating. So as when you are in situations like this, and I have been on some of them, what goes through your mind? How calm are you? How effective is your decision making? It's wonderful. And this guy is fantastic. He's a great pilot for even attempting to land his plane on a river. But that's not the point. The point is that, and I think I mentioned it in the orientation, Sully Sullenberger thought about nothing but flying from the age of 5. That is passion, right? Passion is when you're totally involved in your job. Now, any thoughts from you guys?
I think he did not think of anything else other than just making sure that the flight lands safely, right? He did not think of anything else at that point in time.
Absolutely. And that is what is
He
passion.
thought only the life of the passengers.
I think
Maybe
during
thought about only the life of the passengers.
Yeah, true.
He did not panic, and he was not impulsive.
Yeah. So I was talking about intensity. How intensely involved are you in something? Yeah.
He was also willing to listen to the co-pilot when he asked, "Do you have any ideas?" So I guess that shows the presence of mind, and he was like totally in control of what's happening.
Emotionally very stable also as a personality trait, deeply involved in his job. Yeah, not a very extroverted person, very quiet guy, Sully Sullenberger, but he just got this done. Yeah.
He got good ideas what to do at the panic time.
What's that?
I mean, he got the idea what to do at that point.
Presence of mind and
presence of mind. But all these things come from passion. Yeah. So I just wanted to talk to you about intensity and how intensely involved you are in something. And in extension, job existence and job involvement is very important. How many of you are really involved with what happens in your job and things like that? Yeah. So motivation is got 3 components. It is intensity or passion, direction, effort that is channeled towards and consistent with organizational goals, persistence, how long a person can maintain effort. Yeah. So what early theories of motivation are Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. These are what are called as the early theories, or some may say outdated, but I think they are fundamental to motivation. McGregor's theory of needs, McGregor's theory of X and theory Y, Herzberg's 2-factor theory, and McLellan's theory of needs. So these are the 4 theories. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs, McGregor's theory X and theory Y, Herzberg's 2-factor theory, and McLellan's theory of needs. Let's go through them quickly. Many of you might have seen Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Have you guys seen Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Have you heard about it?
It was covered in the marketing management.
Yeah, so we generally have a good idea. It is physiological safety, social esteem, and self-actualization needs. Yeah. So McGregor's theory X and theory Y. So McGregor said that managers are of 2 kinds. Either they believe that workers have little ambition and dislike work, avoid responsibility, or workers are self-directed, enjoy work, and accept responsibility. So McGregor, I suppose many of you have heard of Henry Ford, the Ford motor car. So Henry Ford was the first guy who started the assembly line, and then he sort of you know, came with this mass production of cars. He was a very kind of again an introverted person. He was not very sociable. He was a great thinker. So there is one very funny story about Henry Ford. So Henry Ford, would walk around his manufacturing plant, and if he found somebody not working, he would just kick them out. So one day, Henry Ford was walking around his plant at Dearborn, Michigan, and he sort of saw a guy standing by the lamppost and smoking a cigarette. So he called his supervisor and said, "That guy standing there, throw him out. Just pay him whatever is to be paid and throw him out from the plant." So the supervisor was trying to tell Henry Ford something, and Henry Ford said, if you value your job, you just pay him and throw him out, otherwise you are going to get kicked out. So the guy just paid him the money and sent him. And later on, when Ford cooled down, he asked him, who was that man? So the supervisor said he was the pizza delivery guy, and he had come here to deliver a pizza, and he was not working here. So the story is, that shows what Henry Ford thought about people. So Henry Ford was a typical theory X kind of a character. He thought workers have little ambition, dislike work, and avoid responsibility, as against the later day managers who think workers are self-directed, they enjoy work, and they accept responsibility. So it's different. How do you look at your workers? Are you a theory X manager? So we are trying to define a manager. Are you a theory X manager, or are you a theory Y manager? So what do you guys think? Are you theory X or theory Y?
Why?
Why?
So why? Invariably everybody is Y, yeah?
Why?
Theory Y.
Because it sounds nice.
Yeah, consciously we may say why, sir, but many of us, will be naturally going into the X category.
Yeah, correct.
So the work which is given in the company, what we have to do for money, that goes to the category of X. What we want to do personally, that goes into Y.
Okay, fine. But this is about talking about the characteristics of a manager and how the manager feels. And then let's go to Herzberg's two-factor theory. So Herzberg's two-factor theory is an interesting theory. Talks about, so when you go to an office, suppose you go to an office and you have a great office. You have a wonderful view. It is air conditioned. It's a corner office. You have a very nice secretary, either male or female, and everything is fine, but your job is very boring. Alternatively, you have a great job, but you have a lousy physical office. So Herzberg looked at this, and Herzberg said that, look, there are certain things called as motivators, and there are certain things called as, hygiene factors. And he said that in an organization, the size of your office, the quality of your office, the air conditioning are all called hygiene factors. If they are not there, they dissatisfy you. But if they are there, it not necessarily means it's going to motivate you. So then he said, what are the motivators that we have? What are things that motivate us to do better? And Herzberg said that some of the motivators are growth, responsibility, achievement. So these are intrinsic and related to satisfaction, growth, responsibility, and achievement. What are the hygiene factors? And the company policies, salary, and work conditions. They are not sort of, they're not going to motivate you, even if you have good company policies. Look at the yellow part, the salary. So Herzberg said that even if you get a great salary, it might satisfy you, but it may not motivate you. What really motivates people is growth, responsibility, and achievement. What do you guys think of this theory?
Actually, a wonderful theory.
Agree with it, sir.
Agree with it.
Very relevant.
Agree with it.
Agrees.
So many people think that salary is a great motivator. Research has shown that beyond a certain point, salary stops mattering. And what really matters to people are things like growth, responsibility, and achievement. Yeah. So it's a very interesting theory. Herzberg's two-factor theory it is called, because there are two factors here. One is called the hygiene factor and the other one is called the motivator. Next time you go to work, try to differentiate clearly between what is the hygiene factor and what is the motivator. So many people are taken in by the hygiene factor. That is, if the office is nice, if people are dressed well, and so on and so forth, they forget that the motivators really are the quality of the job, the kind of responsibility you get, the freedom you get, the sense of achievement, the sense of growth, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Skip all this. So McLennan came up with a very interesting theory. It's called the McLennan's theory of needs. And he said that people have different needs. So all of us have needs. And he said that need for achievement, need for power, need for uh, um, affiliation. That is, a need for the drive to excel, to achieve in relation to a set of standards, to strive to succeed. Um, that's the need for achievement. The need for power is the need to make others behave in a way that they would not have behaved otherwise. Um, the need for affiliation is the desire for friendly and close interpersonal relationships. So we can do a psychometric test here and try to figure out what kind of needs you have. You have a need for achievement, a need for power, or a need for affiliation. What do you guys think? So do you want everybody to like you at your workplace? How is it?
I didn't understand your question, sir. Please repeat.
The question is, when you go to work, do you want everybody to say nice things about you and like you, or it doesn't matter?
So there are two sides of the story. I also want people to talk nice things about me. Also, I would like positive criticism. That where I went wrong.
Yeah.
Somebody to guide me.
Yeah. So again, there are different constructs for different people. So some people want to achieve at the exclusion of power and affiliation. Um, so, so for example, I have a very high need for achievement. I want to achieve. I don't care so much about power. I've seen enough of power and what it does. I'm not very concerned about power. I'm also not concerned about what people think about me too much. So my need for affiliation is low. If people are sort of friendly towards me, it's fine. If they're not friendly towards me, also it's fine. But for me, what drives me is the need for achievement. I have to keep achieving something all the time. So McLennan said, let's try to figure out what motivates a person. Is it the need for achievement? Is the need for power? And the need for affiliation? Again, there are tests here. You can figure out what kind of need you have. Yeah. So people with a high need of achievement, it is assumed that they take a lot of risks. That is not necessarily true. People who need to achieve or who are high achievers actually don't take too much of risk. They try to weigh the risk and take and appropriate measures to mitigate the risk. And it's very important to understand that. So high achievers are not necessarily high risk takers. They are people who understand the risk and try to mitigate the risk. Yeah. So some of the contemporary theories of motivation are the self-determination theory, the goal-setting theory, that is by management by objectives, the self-efficacy theory, also known as the social cognitive theory or social learning theory, reinforcement theory, equity theory, expectancy theory, and so on and so forth. So before that, I also want to take you through very quickly of another thing that I had sent, but we'll do that in the last 15 minutes or so. That's why I keep looking at my watch. Let's look at some of these. The self-determination theory. So self-determination theory talks about intrinsic and extrinsic rewards. So what drives you? Extrinsic rewards are things like, giving you more money, giving you a better office, giving you a car, and so on and so forth. Intrinsic rewards are trying to make the job more sort of exciting for you, giving you more freedom, giving you a sense of achievement, giving you a sense of recognition, and things like that. So when both are important, you can't do one at the isolation of another. So when you're looking at rewards, good companies give a combination of the two, both intrinsic and extrinsic rewards, so that it's a full package. Those companies that look at only extrinsic rewards are really not doing a good job. So if you look at how compensation packages are crafted, they will have a combination of both intrinsic as well as extrinsic, and that is what makes people motivated and want to work better. So Locke's goal setting theory. Locke said that there is something called as a goal setting theory, and he said that if proper goals are set, people work better. So the basic premise is that specific and difficult goals with self-generated feedback lead to higher performance, and difficult goals, so focus and direct attention, energize the person to work harder. Difficulty increases persistence. So this is what Locke said, that if you set clear goals and make them reasonably difficult, people are energized to work much harder and better. What is the problem with Locke's goal setting theory? Anybody? You got a point of view? Locke's goal setting theory?
Sir, if the goals are unrealistic, then it demotivates people. I have faced a scenario like that where I had a set of around 6-7 new guys in a team. The goals were very high for them. I mean, so we had to actually do a little different kind of a goal setting where they believed that they could achieve that particular goal if they put that hard. I think that is one challenge in this method.
They might be aligned to organization goals.
Yeah, true. But what is one basic problem that you see with goal setting theory?
It's at the generalized level, not at the individual level, which I feel.
It's at a generalized level and not at the individual level. Okay. No, there are individual goals which are set.
Yeah, so the goals and then goals are there.
Okay. What else?
When we set the goal and then suppose we put a timeline of like this goal should be achieved within 1 year. So what happens?
They're generally SMART goals, yes.
Yes. So within that 1 year, time will change and circumstances will change and a lot of things will change. So the goals become sometimes things become different what was decided and what's happening. So if you evaluate the same goal at the end of year, a lot of things becomes irrelevant. But if you judge across that goal, so there is a lot of deviation which comes into picture.
Okay.
The goals has to be like top to bottom approach. Like the top management should set the parameters and it has to cascade to the bottom, and they're following accordingly.
Yeah, but you're missing out one key ingredient which I'm looking for.
What I think is that when it says self-driven feedback, so I think the feedback should be coming from the senior people, because you might not know where you went wrong.
Okay.
So I feel the goals which are set is only for the company. The person who is working on that goal he will not be motivated personally, I feel. So there should be something which will motivate the person to do that, achieve that goal. So I feel that is one thing.
I think the measurement parameter is missing there.
What else is missing?
Measurement?
Not really.
The what is there, but the how is not there.
The goals are set.
for the appraisal of the.
Okay, so let's look at this. Let's look at this. Yeah. So you've got, basically company goals, and then you've got. So somebody may use the word cascading. I think you're right. This comes from the vision, the mission, the strategy, the goals, and then they cascade downwards. So the difference between Locke's goal setting theory and management by objectives, which is which is an improvement on Locke's goal setting theory, is something like this. First of all, goals are aligned. Secondly, in setting goals, the supervisor and the subordinate sit together and decide upon the goal. Is that how it happens in your organizations?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're following what is called as management by objectives. The objectives are set. The objectives are in alignment to the vision, mission, strategy of the organization. So you have company goals, you have departmental goals, and you have individual goals. You should cascade down further. And these are sat and discussed by the management, by the supervisor and the subordinate, so that everybody is clear about what is to be achieved. And so this is another very powerful motivation tool because it gives a buy-in to the person concerned. Yeah. So that is what is management by objectives, which is, like I said, is an improvement upon Locke's goal setting theory. So this is management by objectives, which I was talking about. MBO is a systematic way to utilize goal setting. Goals must be tangible, verifiable, and measurable. Corporate goals are broken down into smaller, more specific goals at each level of the organization. 4 common ingredients to MBO programs are goal specificity, participative decision making, explicit time period, and performance feedback. So it's very important that you have all these things. It's also important that you sit and discuss and come up with the goals. And it is not done from a top-down approach or unilaterally set by the supervisor or the manager. Yeah. So for the day, I'll cover Bandura's self-efficacy theory. But Alfred Bandura is a great social scientist. He came up with his self-efficacy theory. And he said that self-efficacy is an individual's belief that he or she is capable of performing a task. That is, do I believe? So for example, let's face it, most of the top leaders in India either come from an IIT or the IIM. Do you really think they are smarter than everybody else? What is it that is going for them?
One, I feel the confidence, Professor.
Absolutely. They have great confidence in their own abilities. Yeah. So that was what Bandura was talking about. He said that, when people have confidence in their own abilities, they do better. And greater confidence, greater persistence in the face of difficulties. I'm going to hang in there. I'm going to persist. You can't shake me. Better response to negative feedback. That is, they work harder. They don't run away. You criticize them, they come back with an improved performance. So self-efficacy complements goal-setting theory and says that there is increased confidence. You give them harder goal and they work harder. They set higher levels for themselves and it leads to higher performance. So Bandura said that, if you get the right kind of people and give them tough tasks, then they raise the bar and they work much harder, provided you believe that they have the confidence in getting a job done. So that was Bandura's self-efficacy theory. But the point is, how do you increase self-efficacy? How do you increase self-efficacy? And Bandura said that you increase self-efficacy by what is called as inactive mastery. That is, you sort of practice makes perfect. You work very hard at something and then you sort of improve upon it over and over again. You keep doing it over and over again and you sort of become perfect. So while people like Sachin Tendulkar and Virat Kohli were extremely talented, they also work extremely hard. and they practice extremely hard. For example, Kohli works very hard on his fitness levels. So an active mastery comes from making yourself perfect by practice. Vicarious modeling is increasing confidence by watching others perform the task. So increasing confidence by watching others perform the task, and then you get a role model. So you get a good role model, and you watch how they do something, and then you will find that they are really doing. You improve your own performance by watching somebody. So if you don't have a role model, go and get one and watch how they do something well, so that you can learn from them. Verbal persuasion is motivation through verbal conviction. That is the Pygmalion or the Galatea effects, self-fulfilling prophecies, and then arousal is getting psyched up. So you psych yourself up for a particular job. You psych yourself up when you go to office and so on and so forth. I'll come to that very quickly. But I want to talk about verbal persuasion. So what is verbal persuasion?
You say someone do something, but they won't doing that thing very effectively.
Yeah, verbal persuasion is when you keep telling yourself that you can win. Yeah, you convince yourself that you're good enough. So how many of you keep telling yourself, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail? Or how many people went through an experience where your parents told you that you are stupid and you're not going to succeed? So that is the greatest disservice anybody can do to their children, and so on and so forth. And the Pygmalion effect, I don't know whether I told you this, but it comes from something called as something written by a guy called George Bernard Shaw. Have I told you this?
No.
No. So George Bernard Shaw was a two-time Nobel Prize winner. He was an Irishman, great writer, and he wrote a story called The Pygmalion. I have a feeling I told you this. The Pygmalion is about an English professor in England, in London, extremely arrogant person, but very, very smart and very, very good at his job. He has a friend who's a doctor from India. He has served in the British Indian Army. This was pre-independence, and the guy goes back to England, and they have a bet. So the professor says that, look, I am so good at teaching and in English, I can pick up anybody from the roadside and make them perfect in English in a period of 6 months. And the doctor says it's not possible. So they eventually pick up a roadside girl. She is a flower seller. She has very poor English, and they ask her, can you come with an experiment? We'll give you a certain amount of money. So they take this girl, and then the English professor coaches her for 6 months. And lo and behold, in 6 months, he's able to teach her so much of good English that even the Queen of England, the British nobility, cannot make out that she is a poor flower seller from the roadside. There is only one problem. This girl, whenever she speaks to the professor, she reverts to speaking that funny roadside English. With everybody else, she speaks good English. So eventually the professor is very, he's confused. He says, why do you do this? When you talk to other people, you talk well. When you talk to me, you talk to me in your old manner. So she gives him a very interesting answer, and she says that, everybody treats me like nobility, so I speak to them well. You continue to treat me like a flower seller, so I speak to you in this manner. The point being that if you expect people to fail, they will fail. If you expect people to do well, they will do well. And so that is what is called as verbal persuasion. You have to tell yourself continuously that I'm going to succeed, I'm going to do well, I'm going to, crack this exam, I'm going to succeed, I'm going to become CEO. If you do that on a regular basis and you believe yourself, you will eventually do well. Otherwise, you are setting yourself up to fail. And next time you would find any parents telling their children that they're stupid and they're going to fail, I think you should stop them and tell them not to do it, because that is the greatest disservice that is done to children. What do you guys think?
Absolutely true.
True, sir.
Yeah, true.
Perfect, sir.
Yeah. So So that is verbal persuasion, and eventually, you come to sort of what is called as arousal. That is, how do you sort of psych yourself up for a particular event? I just want to show you a quick short video before we end. Um, but what exactly I mean by um, arousal in terms of so mostly you find it in this is a very interesting video and I like to share it. So you watch it. This is the famous All Blacks, the New Zealand rugby team, and they have this famous way of going into a game. So you can see my screen, I suppose.
Yeah.
So there is a famous All Blacks rugby team from New Zealand. They are one of the best teams in the world, and that is a good example of what arousal is about and how you get psyched up to go into a particularly important event. Obviously, you don't want to do this when you go in to meet your manager, or you don't want to before you get into a chess game or something like that. There's a time and place. Do any of you do this?
Not at all,
I
sir.
think
No.
yeah, we do rituals at special times. I mean, typically a war cry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So again, people going into war have a war cry and so on and so forth. Yeah.
I think this act, sir, is actually really beneficial. I mean, I've done it personally, not to the extent that the New Zealand team has done, but your posture, the Superman posture. I've read an article about it, lifting your hands and really stretching before a seminar, before giving a seminar. It kind of pulls your spirits up.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, there's a time and place for it, but this is Albert Bandura's self-efficacy theory. It makes a lot of sense, and you might like to adopt some of these ways to motivate not only yourself but motivate your team as well, right? Good. So I will actually. So we've gone through some theories of motivation. I just want to sort of send you this thing before we wind up because I thought it was important. Just give me a minute, please. Okay, so just look at your WhatsApp, please. I've sent you something. Did you get it?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you open it, please?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can take this, please circle the number that you feel most closely represents your own behavior, that is never late and casual about appointments. So if you are casual about appointments, very casual, mark a 5. If you're never late on this side, mark a 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a classical Likert scale. Can we do this? Yeah.
Yes, sir, we're doing it.
So how to fill it?
Who's this? What's your name?
Jasveer.
Jasveer. So have you seen the first line? Never late,
Yes.
casual. Are you never late or are you casual?
Casual.
How casual are you? Are you very casual? Little less casual?
Little less. Moderate, you can say.
Moderately casual. So do you circle on the right hand side casual appointments? You have circle 2 or 3.
Okay.
If you're very casual, you circle 5.
Okay.
Actually, this works better with a printout. So
Sir, can you share me that on my mail ID? I didn't receive it on WhatsApp. Some problem with my phone, I guess.
Yeah.
No, same here, sir. Even I didn't receive it in the WhatsApp. I was actually checking, rebooting my phone.
Okay, what's your mail ID?
AMITH 007k@gmail.com.
AMITH?
Yeah, AMITH Amit 007 K as in Kumar at gmail.com.
Okay, then.
Can you drop it in the chat box as well if you don't mind?
Sir, I have given my email ID in chat box. That is sanjot.kadu@gmail.com.
I'll drop it in the chat box. You can pick it up from there, hopefully. Can you take it off the chat box? It's there now?
Yeah, it's done already, sir.
So basically, once you finish this thing, once you finish this, you need to go to your, you need to go to the key and score yourself. So it starts like this. So be a little careful while scoring. So you have to remember what position you marked here. Suppose you marked never late as 5 here in the first question. It would translate to a number of 11 here in the real scoring sheet. And so you must have that marked, and you must take it here and mark yourself, and then come up with a score. So if you're extreme type A, that is, you have a very high score between 108 to 154 by some chance, that means you are a very kind of hard driving person, very excitable. You eat quickly, you do everything very quickly. The downside is that you look very impressive, you look very energetic. The downside is that you are prone to heart attacks and so on and so forth. Yeah. So, yeah. So please take this test at your leisure. It's a type A or type B personality trait. So type A people are the ones who have more heart attacks. They are prone to heart attacks. It's a medically proven fact. So if you're a type A, high type A person, you might like to slow down a little bit. Type B people are more phlegmatic, more sanguine. They're slower. They take their time about things, and they have less heart attacks. They're also, so the problem here is if you're a high type A person and you come up against a type B person, you might have a mismatch of personalities in the workplace. But please understand there are people like type B as well. There are people like type A as well. So you need to make the adjustment. So do this test at your leisure, no great hurry. You find out whether you're type A or type B. If you're type A, be alert to the fact that most heart attacks occur with type A people. Any questions before we end?
No, sir.
Sanjot, did you get this thing?
Yes, I received it from chat box.
Okay, fine. No questions?
Hello, Captain. I have one question.
Yeah.
Regarding the OT assignment, we have to send the video, right? Through mail, it is not possible to send full video.
Why?
Like, there is like more MB in that?
You
Because
talk to Professor Rajan and
Gmail will not support beyond 20 MB, sir.
Okay. Okay. Um, talk to Professor Rajan and figure out a way, please.
Sir, Prasanna here. I spoke with Ma'am Malati, and I had the same problem last week when I was submitting this. So she asked me to copy the link of Google Drive in the Notepad and create one folder so that professor can open it and go through your video instead of
Okay, fair enough.
uploading it.
Fair enough.
So I was able to do that.
Great. Yeah, Prasanna. I know you sent it to me, yes.
Hello.
Yeah.
So actually, we have received a new email from Rajan. They have created a YouTube this thing
You have
to
received this
upload.
email from whom?
Rajan sir.
Okay. Huh.
For the YouTube channel, like he have created a YouTube this thing to upload the videos.
It is not to upload the videos, it is to view the videos of classes.
The video classes of the videos.
Yeah. So all these recordings go on to the YouTube and you can watch it from there. So good folk, have a wonderful Sunday, whatever is left of it, and I'll catch you later.
Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I think your assignment number 1 is very
Thank you,
close
sir.
to due date. So
Yeah,
please
next
get
week.
it done.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
assignment
sir.
number 1. And I hope you're working on assignment number 2 as well.
Yes, sir.
To be frank, no, sir, because a lot of deadlines for next week on 24th. 3 group assignments and individual reference, all are there. So we're just thinking to start after that, post that.
Okay. Good. Stretch yourself.
Yeah.
It works. Okay, see you then. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.